guys, it's M, and today I have a very different video. Now originally I was going to do a simple 7 Days to Die review, and this was just going to be a section stapled onto that. But the more I thought about it, the more upsetting this aspect of the game got for me, to the point where I felt this section expanded so far, it would distract from the point of the rest of the review. So now here we are with me giving it its own dedicated video. For those of you unaware, 7 Days to Die is a zombie survival sim where, well, you survive the apocalypse, looting abandoned cities, killing roaming zombies, and things of that nature, until the 7th day where the Horde comes. I think it's a fantastic project where the devs played into the strengths of that concept, and once you get past the graphics and some of the little kinks, it's one of the most immersive survival sims I've ever played. But now that you can see I care about this game, let's get to the dilemma that this video's title describes. You see, 7 Days to Die is pretty much on all major platforms. PC, PlayStation, and Xbox. And for a time, all versions of the game got the same updates. This was until around 2017, because before they could release the next console updates, Telltale Games, their publishing company, filed for bankruptcy, meaning the Fun Pimps, or TFP for short, became unable to update the game. Now, I initially got the game around 2016 or so to play with a freshman friend of mine. I got it on sale for like $5 or $10 and we had fun, but even back then when I wasn't as analytical about stuff, I felt like it was a solid base, but it was just missing things. Given it was one of these survival sim type games, I'd assume it'd get better as time went along. So after my friend killed me with a mine, I kind of forgot about the game for 2 years or so before coming back to it. Only 1 or 2 updates, but again, I had a pleasant time. I managed to get all the way to endgame on this playthrough, getting the mini bike and pretty much all the guns I had known about in the game at the time, but I still wanted more. This led to me finding out there's a 4x4 truck, a regular bicycle, and a few other vehicles. But no matter how much I tried, I just couldn't find these things. This is where I initially found out about the whole console update situation. So in a search for information, assuming the devs wouldn't just throw the game to the wayside because of this, I ended up on Twitter finding out the devs hardly mentioning anything about this, but the community non-stop asking questions to no avail. At this point, I'd given them the benefit of the doubt that this would all be over soon. This was a foolish mistake on my part in hindsight. Hard cut the current year where we're being told console is getting something by the end of 2023 or early 2024. As it's some booths for the game, we've seen it running on the PS5. They've never really described in detail what this was, but it's the most news we've had about console in a while. Now that you have most of my, and I'm sure many others' experience with this game, let me explain the nitty-gritty shit that I really hate about this situation. 1, the community. It feels like a turf war between the PC and console side. PC players telling console players to shut up and stop whining at the developers, and console players, well, asking about the product they paid the same amount of money for. The Twitter side of PC players seem to have this superiority complex about the game because they didn't get fucked over, shitting on everyone else who did because they don't have that issue. It's a fucking miserable situation, byproduct of everything that's been going on with development. 2nd, the console players. We don't have an accurate player number for console, but I feel like they make up a good chunk of the game's fan base, considering how many false hope update videos we see about it, how often the game goes on sale, and how many people are begging for anything about this version. Now, there will be people like me who find out the harsh way that this game isn't getting updated on console anymore, but what I fear is people seeing footage of it on PC, buying it, and then wondering what the fuck happened between what they got and what they saw. After all, it's very easy to be misled here, as there's nothing on the console store page to indicate that this game's been getting fucked over on this side of things for so long. Hell, it even still goes on sale like I said earlier. And again, just to make sure everyone knows, the last console update was about 7 years ago now. The last PC update was like a month or 2 ago. It's getting to the point where they hardly even look like the same game anymore. 3rd, the devs ghosting the community and the lack of clarity. The devs primarily seem to update their Twitter about the status of the game, going on sale, events, things like that. They barely ever respond to people about this entire situation. From their standpoint, I unfortunately understand how long legal battles or issues can take. So they most likely just couldn't get the rights back and refrained to responding from people because there isn't really much they could do or say about it. After all, I doubt they wanted to leave a large chunk of their audience with an unfinished product. And from a company and more business point of view, more updates makes the game look better, which makes more people want to buy it. So for them, I don't really think it's their fault, but I do wish they'd leave a pinned comment or something somewhere, giving a brief and definite answer on their thoughts on this. Because it's definitely frustrating to see dozens of people ask the same questions over and over again and they just don't say anything at all. So while I understand why they don't want to talk about it, it's probably the most frustrating position to be in. The next point's somewhat connected, but I wanted to get this whole section out of the way ahead of time. 4th, the console reboots. Again, I don't know how tongue-tied they are with the IP, but this PS5 gameplay they gave us alongside the lack of answers is what I'm afraid of and what frustrates me. We don't know what the fuck any of this actually means, leading to a lot of speculation on what this even was. The first theory is it's just going to be a general game update, which would probably be the best case scenario and what everyone wants. The second theory is a re-release, which makes me scared because of the implications of having to buy the entire game again for something that had nothing to do with us. Kinda sucks, but I think that's the most realistic turn of events. However, that's not the only thing that concerns me about this outcome. What about old-gen consoles? Are they getting included with this re-release? We only saw PS5 gameplay, which makes me think there's at least a chance they may do that. Meaning there's a possibility old-gen players could have been strung along this entire time for the final result to just be a, oh well, better luck next time, sport. Maybe you could play DayZ. Because I can tell you now, I'm not exactly tempted to drop 500 plus 30 for a game and content I should have already had, let alone for a game that's currently under 10 gigs and I know could run on last gen hardware. I really hope this doesn't end up being the case or play out the way that I imagine it playing out, because I feel like I could already see the backlash on this ending. Overall, I feel like it's a shitty situation for all parties. I hope everything turns out well and everyone ends up happy, but at this point, I don't see that being a realistic option. I genuinely feel that the re-release option is going to be what happens. And with the radio silence from the devs, it makes me feel they don't want to say anything regarding that side because they know it won't go over well. I would love for the console update to drop and I'm wrong about everything that I've said, but I have a feeling I'm not. But what do you guys think? And how do you feel about this whole situation regarding 7 Days to Die? As long as you're respectful, I'm glad to discuss with you guys in the comments, and with that, I've been in, and I am out.